Everybody is saying this is going to skyrocket the value for Deshaun Watson. I don't think that's the case at all. I think it does set a baseline for the price for Deshaun, but I don't think it changes anyone's mind about how much Deshaun is going to cost if this were to happen. I still think that the norm, I would say, is probably 3 first-round picks. If we can get those deferred over the next 3 years, that's great. If not, 2021 is going to be the year to double stack those first-round draft picks, because draft choices, the players are, it's going to be more hit or miss this year than any other year, just because of COVID and because of the limited amount of games in college and stuff like that. So if you're gonna deal some first-round picks, this is the time to do it. We have 5 draft picks in the next 3 years. We have, I believe it was 13 draft picks in the first 3 rounds of the next 3 years. So it's not like we can't build around Deshaun. We're going to have a rolling average after, if we were to get Deshaun Watson after the fact, we're still going to have a rolling cap space of over $70 million like over the next 3-4 years. I don't see any reason not to do it. Just the fact of the matter is Deshaun Watson would sign the contract and instantly be the best quarterback to play for the Jets in history. So there's really not a reason to do it. As far as the Matthew Stafford thing, I think the Lions won that trade, but realistically, Rams are a good team. And with Stafford on the Rams, it's not like those first round picks are going to be high picks. You're looking mid 20s, I think, at best for those picks. So it's not like that's going to affect the value, because the number 2 pick overall is going to have a huge value in a Deshaun Watson conversation.
Yeah, I completely agree. Jax, curious to hear what you think, my friend.
Yeah, you got to excuse me. You guys know I'm like the one. I like to be the one hitter quitter here. I don't think it means anything really, with regards to what it is that we do. Okay, completely different situation. I know the compensation was probably weighted the way that it was because of Jared Goff's contract. And to be perfectly honest with you, and I think Jimmy really kind of touched upon it when we're talking about draft compensation with regards to this year's draft. There is some uncertainty. In I would just say in how it is that we evaluate some of these guys, and to get that additional first rounder. I mean, it's always good, but um, you know, have we had enough an opportunity to kind of really evaluate these guys? Do we really know? Are these guys really who it is that we expect them to be? I know every team has their own, kind of board and how they weight specific players or needs or at positions, of need in particular. But to be perfectly honest with you, we're going to have to pay what amounts to be a pretty substantial cost to get Deshaun Watson. And I'll just be honest with you, unless you're talking about Quentin Williams or Mekhi Becton, which are non-starters as far as I'm concerned. I kind of don't care what it is that they give them. Yeah, if you're talking about 4 or 5 first-round picks, then yeah, you're kind of pushing the bridge a little further than what it needs to be. But we were already expecting to pay what amounts to be a king's ransom. I really would say this, and I'll just wrap this up because I really want to hear what Ryan says about this. But what I think is that this specific trade, this specific transaction, is going to make Joe Douglas look like that much more of a super genius when he doesn't necessarily pay as much as what people think that he's going to have to pay in this. Deshaun Watson does have quite a bit of say in how it is that this transpires. Houston, as tough as they want to play about saying that they're not going to trade him, how many times have we heard that over the course of the past few seasons? I think Joe Douglas is probably going to come out smelling like a whole entire garden of roses and not just a bed. So, Ryan, man, let me know where you at on this.
I think they have to make this trade. You guys brought it up. He would be the best quarterback we've ever had in our franchise's history. I mean, you look at his stats, 2 of his 4 years. Now, granted, this is a 16-game schedule instead of a 14-game schedule like Namath had, but he would have broken our passing record and touchdown record. Would have broken the passing yards record in 2 of his 4 seasons. Would have been real close the other 2 years. He missed 1 game 2 years ago, and then he missed half the season, his first season. But I think you got to get it done. I think 3 first-round picks is basically what it's going to take to get it. And if I'm the Jets, I'm waiting until the Texans call me. Like, you may call to ask, like, hey, is he available? They say no. Okay, come back to us when he is. Because right now, we're not on the clock. Like, we can wait. We have backup options. The Jets' options for quarterback this year are so much better than any year we've had in the past. You're talking you could take Fields or Wilson at 2 overall. You can trade down, roll with Sam. You could sign any plethora of free agent quarterbacks. If you really wanted it to get crazy, if Dak doesn't get franchise tagged by Dallas, not the worst decision to go either. Like, there's a lot of options that the Jets could really go towards, and it's really the Texans that are going to have to try and find what they want in terms of a trade package, because the package that was given up for Stafford, Goff was a contract dump, so you had to give up a little bit more. Maybe they gave up a third-round pick to kind of offset that. They gave up 2 first-round picks in later years, so 2022 and 2023. So if you were to take the draft value chart for what it's worth, I guess, Jimmy Johnson invented the draft value chart as a way to assign value to draft picks based on salary cap and whatnot. And how?
But wait a second, Ryan. Didn't Weeb Eubank do something similar during his tenure as New York Jets head coach? I mean, granted, I'm going back quite a bit. I'm going back to the mid to late '60s, but I do distinctly remember in Bob Lederer's book, Beyond Broadway Joe, Weeb Eubank had a similar system in how he graded players, especially when players would come to him at the end of the season and ask for a contract renegotiation.
So that I'm not too sure. I do know that the draft pick value chart has been redone, I think, 2 times. I'm not sure if the second time factored in the salary cap or if the second time factored in the rookie contracts, because a rookie quarterback on a contract is worth significantly more now than it was when, say, Sam Bradford was drafted and he was getting $50 million guaranteed. So I'm not exactly sure where that stands, but the whole idea is that the second overall pick is so much more likely to net you a blue chip franchise Pro Bowl type player than, say, the 25th pick or something of that nature. Because when you think of the Rams and where their first round pick is going to be with Stafford over the course of the next 3 years, it's probably in the mid to late 20s. So if you're getting number 2 overall, you have your choice of anyone in this draft not named Trevor Lawrence. And then who knows, maybe there's some squirrely possibility that Jacksonville surprises everyone, takes Fields, and then Lawrence falls, and then they have their choice of that. But I think there's so much value in that number 2 overall pick. Now, I don't think it's so much value that someone says like 4 number 32 picks equals the equivalent of what number 2 is overall, because you're still only getting 1 player. But if the Jets are thinking, hey, I'm going to draft a quarterback because we don't really believe in Sam. We're fully committed to Sam. We're saying that for trade value purposes. But if we are drafting a quarterback at 2, if you're thinking of Wilson or Fields, why not use the number 2 overall pick as leverage to try and get the Texans to swap? Watson clearly wants to come here. I'm watching all the smoke from all the Twitter and Instagram, all these different like little tidbits of information. I think he wants to be here. I don't think the Jets are going to have to pay a crazy asking price. I did see a trade rumor come out from John McClain, I believe it's Houston Chronicle reporter. He says the Texans are looking for 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and 2 defensive starters. So if that, from a draft pick perspective, is what they're looking for, number 2 overall is worth significantly more than, say, New England's first-round pick. That's number 15 overall. So you'd have to come down on price in that. I think if they're looking for something like that, defensive starter-wise, you got to think that means one of Bryce Hall or Quinnen Williams or one of the other, Foley Fatukasi, someone on maybe the defensive line. I don't know. It's interesting. I think the Jets are going to have more leverage than a lot of people are giving them credit for. And I think when we look back and we see what we get Watson for versus what Stafford was just traded for, we're going to be very happy with the trade.
Absolutely.
All right, so really quick before I give my thoughts on this, I want to get these comments on the air, and I want to thank each and every one of you that are tuning in, not just this week, but every single week. Those of you that log in, that put your comments in the comments, no matter how far-fetched or how ridiculous, we absolutely love you guys. And I wanted to tell you guys that from the bottom of my heart, first and foremost. Now, let's get to the comments. Rockaway Archie, shout out to him. What's up, fellas? You guys got the man tonight. What's up, Ryan Murphy? Paul James Schweidler in the house. Ryan's in the house, says what's up. Greenhouse, New York Jets football. So what do you guys think? 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and 2 top players for DeShaun Watson.
The definition of 2 top players, I think, is really what's going to maybe twist a couple of the comments on this.
Who's the players?
Yeah.
What picks?
Look,
what are we talking?
Right. Bryce Hall for me is kind of a no, just because I really like the upside there, considering that we already are going to be looking at spending one of our higher picks on a cornerback. I mean, I think that's rational for where it is that we are. I wouldn't necessarily want to give that, but are we talking about an Ashton Davis? I heard of something earlier. They were talking about John Franklin Myers, who is a shining star as far as up and coming guys on our team. How does it fit in what it is that they're doing there? So there's some questions as to what exactly does that mean by saying 2 defensive starters? Because look, if we were to send Bless Austin over there, does Bless is he a starter on that team?
Right.
I think we've had some questions here, but he's been good enough to be it here in spots. So that's going to be interesting. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah, I think for Quinnen Williams especially, like I would, if I'm looking to trade Quinnen Williams, I'm saying I'm getting a first and a third for him. So like that to me, if you're asking for 2 defensive starters, you're basically asking for an extra first and third round pick, which is like you can go kick rocks.
Yeah. Right. Thank you.
Go trade this somewhere else.
Yeah, if you're going to get Quinnen, you're only going to get one first. That.
Right. Straight up. So all right. Shout out to Jeff Stenberg. Jets should stick with Ginger Hercules and draft him some help.
Wow.
No.
Yeah,
okay, shout out to Matt Machucci, otherwise known as Sunny Shades.
Sunny!
All right, listen, if there is a plan to draft a quarterback at 2, then you say, screw that, put it toward Watson. I have faith in Joe D because I know if we get Watson, we are trading Darnold and we're getting picks right back there. He has a point right there because basically whatever picks that you may deal within the deal for Watson, once you deal Darnold, you're going to get something back. So you're going to recoup something. So, the Jets find themselves in a very unique position. And again, I'm going to give my perspective in that, but I want to get these comments on the air. Shout out to Kyle Kloiber. Fields is very Watson-esque. I would hang on to the extra first rounders in the future that it would take to trade Watson unless you can find a way to fleece a new GM. Possible. Greenhouse New York Jets football. Sam is done here. I never wanted a USC quarterback. I don't think any of us did. But we all got excited when we drafted Sam Darnold because he was projected to be this generational talent, etc., etc., etc. But you know what? Every single year, we get the draft gurus out there who hype everybody up with this generational talent. Nevertheless, shout out to Louis Gons. Get Watson before Miami can. I think that's the plan, but here's the thing. I don't think that Miami can afford to go after Watson, and I'll explain why. If they do, you're essentially trying to get back the pick that you gave up when you traded Laramie Tunsil. That's number 1. Number 2, the Dolphins organization will look absolutely ridiculous if they go and bail on Tua, unless Tua is part of a package to go to Houston, because their whole purpose of tanking, not last year, but the year before last, was to get Tua. So how ridiculous does that make you look as a front office if now you are going to say, yeah, screw him, he sucks, we're going to go get DeShaun Watson? It makes you look foolish.
Miami probably missed an opportunity to kind of be as much in on DeShaun Watson as they wanted to. When they had last season, they had like 1,000 picks. So that would have been a great opportunity for them.
Right.
Unfortunately, ship has sailed on that.
Sunny Shades chiming back in. If Jacksonville picks up anyone besides Lawrence and we haven't traded for Watson yet, that I'm sending them a gift full of toothpaste and dentures for the hillbillies. Kyle Kloiber chiming back in. No way they should trade Quinnen Williams. Look, Quinnen Williams is untouchable for me. I'm going to put this out there. For me, you want DeShaun Watson, Houston? We'll give you number 23. We'll give you the first rounder next year that we got in the Jamal Adams trade. We'll give you Sam Darnold, and I'll maybe throw in a 5th round pick. That's all you're getting. Because you know what? I don't care what anybody thinks about DeShaun Watson. Oh, he's this generational talent. The Lions completely raped the Rams. And not only that, they're also taking on a crappy contract in which the Lions would find themselves in cap hell if they didn't decide to move on from Stafford. So the Rams were basically saying, look, we'll do you guys a favor. We'll throw you a couple of slightly used jock straps and a bag of balls. You can take Jared Goff too. Come on, guys. Joe Douglas basically bent Seattle over a barrel for Jamal Adams. And nobody thought that we were going to get the return on him. There is no reason to think that he cannot do the same thing to Houston. And the longer that this plays out, it's not the higher that the price tag for DeShaun Watson is going to become. It's going to be lower. Because if DeShaun Watson has basically already come out and said, I don't want to play for you, I'm not playing for you, and I'm going to make your lives absolutely miserable until you trade me. Oh, and by the way, I only want to be traded to the New York Jets. It puts them in a very, very interesting position.